be a friendship, a romantic connection, a familial connection, right? Not simply the obligatory aspect of a familial connection, but the true, intimate connection, right? So we're going to talk about several different numbers as they relate to unions. So I want to talk about 522 energy. I want to talk about 622 energy. I want to talk about 722 energy. And I want to talk about 822 energy and what these numbers mean and my perspective of connections. Now, there are a lot of people out there who oppose people who view connections in a transactional manner or as having purpose. I see connections of all kinds as gateways, right? They hold certain energies. They all have a purpose. They impact your life and your growth or hinder your growth, right? Or elevate it in one way or another, depending on the numeric frequency of said connection. So let's start with 522. Now, the people who most often have a problem with people who separate themselves from toxic connections or from connections with people who are constantly unloading problems, constantly going through issues and not doing anything to change their behavior or their part in the situation. These are typically people who have a lot of 522 connections going on. The total of 522, okay, let me back up. 5 is the karmic number. 22 is the number that represents a union of some sort, whether it's friendship or romantic, right? It is the number that represents the intimacy of marriage, not simply the vow of marriage, but the friendship. So it is a genuine, authentic connection of some sort. It doesn't have to be healthy, but it's just simply a connection. There are emotions involved. Now, the issue with 522 connections, right, because of the fact that they total 9, the number of completion and new beginnings, is that they are heavy. They are difficult. They are full of lessons. And the biggest lesson of all is being able to say goodbye to them. Being able to break away and separate yourself healthily, nonetheless, kindly, right? You don't just ghost people. You don't just cut people off without reason, without at least some sort of communication as to why you are no longer interested in this connection. That's being mature. That's being spiritually elevated versus fearful and not being able to communicate with somebody else, right? But these connections, if you involve too many of them in your life, you get stuck. So marrying someone, for example, in 522 energy is marrying turmoil, is combining struggles, is connecting and attaching yourself to and committing to someone who has nothing healthy to offer you. An example of this would be the kind of woman who settles, or the kind of man who settles, right? For someone, let's say you marry someone who isn't even capable of buying the groceries for your house. It is not a mutual effort, right? This is a situation that is incredibly difficult, incredibly emotional, right? I'm picturing certain relationships and it's really sad. And yes, I do have a more traditional perspective, right? I do expect a man to be a man. And I do expect a man to be able to care for his family, period. I'm not saying the woman should just not do anything with herself. But I think that if you are committing to someone, you need to commit to someone who can carry their own weight and support you. This whole let's go half on everything was created by men who are not capable of being full providers. Anyway, additional examples of 522 energy are friends who just are full of excuses and don't do anything to correct their problems. People that are constantly enduring negative karmic energy, dealing with negative situations, constantly, right? Being attacked by the universe. If these people do not want to take advice, or grow in life as an adult should, leave them where they're at. Next, let's talk about 622 connections. These are not going to be very deep connections. These are mundane. These are diurnal. These are probably work-related or manifestation-oriented in some way, shape, or form, right? Business-related, right? These are going to be situations that can help you elevate because the total is 10 here. This is a new spiritual experience. This is spiritual ascension to a certain extent. So circumstances will be bettered because of this connection, whether it be in any aspect of life. This is a connection that is fruitful. This is a connection that is valuable. This is a connection that can help you achieve great things. Now, if this is a marriage, spiritual growth may be stifled, but you will be benefiting in other ways. Now, let's talk about 722. When it comes to a union of any kind, 722 energy, here's what you guys have to understand about these connections being gateways. This connection may not necessarily be holding this energy presently, but what this connection may very well be offering you is a way into that energy in order to achieve a higher energy after you've done a certain amount of inner work. So let's say you are entering a connection that is expressing 722 energy. This situation is going to be full of toxicity. This situation is going to be full of triggering moments. This is going to be full of bickering. This is going to be disagreements. This is going to be darkness. But it holds an incredible amount of transformative energy because once you proceed to do the work, you can heal those things. So if you're someone that is not consciously aware, good luck with these kinds of connections. They will be tumultuous. They will be difficult and hard to navigate. But that's why turning inward, shadow work, ego work, inner child recognition, understanding, inner child wound nurturing and healing are of the utmost importance. Because once you become aware of those things, that is the gateway, the true gateway to going from 722 to 822 energy. Awareness is the key. If you don't have awareness, you will not be able to reach 822, period. Because it requires awareness of self, awareness of your hurts, awareness of your struggles, awareness of your shortcomings, to be able to recognize how they correlate with certain relationship dynamics that are not healthy, that are not preferred, that are not desired, right? We want healthy. Now, last but not least, 822. 822 requires mastery. Mastery interpersonally, mastery of self, mastery of the mind, mastery of the emotions, and a high level of awareness. High awareness of others, high awareness of self, right? It isn't until, like I just said, you are able to hone your psyche that you will be able to partake in healthy connections of any kind. And one of the additional difficulties that comes with achieving this level in your connections is the fact that not everyone can reach this standard. It can become lonely, right? People may not understand why you don't want them in your lives, or at least not as much as they used to be. And it's because they are not able to reach that standard quite yet. They still have work to do. They still lack awareness. They still lack the ability to grow, right? And that's okay, right? It's important for us to be able to reach people where they are at, especially as the consciously aware people that the universe has chosen. Our job is not to simply be mean to everyone who has not attained the same height of spiritual awareness, is it? But that in no way means that we should settle or lower ourselves, lower our standards, because what these standards are is what we require for you to be in our lives in order for us to also be able to maintain the level of peace that we've managed to attain. This is what 8 energy is, right? If you want to be welcomed in my space, you must have already done the work on you. Because I sure as hell have done the work on me.